break the electrician load. So he did that. So now back to the end of the movie. Or yeah, end of not really end of the movie, but near the end of the movie. Near the end of the movie. Electro is now doing some stupid shit, doing some bad shit in the city. Uh, Spider-Man arrives. Gwen Stacy wants to go with Spider-Man. Uh, that scene now again. This scene that I gonna explain right now doesn't pay the respect. You just gotta watch the movie. Gwen tells Spider-Man, so Peter Parker, that she wants to come with him. Peter tells her no. Then she says, "Yeah, I want to come with you." Then he was like, "Okay, fine." Uh, he said something to her, close that thing, and then meanwhile, while she closed the thing, by the way, was a car hood. I forgot why they opened a car hood. I think to test the spiderweb's electrician voltage, like if they will break, and didn't break. And meanwhile, while she tried to close the car hood, Spider-Man did hit her with the spiderwebs and did shoot her spiderwebs uh, on her hand while it was on the hood, so she couldn't go away. And Spider-Man did swing away, and she was like, blah blah, take me with you, or something else, and then like Peter, and then she like grabbed her hand and looked around. That scene should happen like that. I heard from a facts video that she should have screamed Spider-Man. And you can also see in that scene that she didn't mean to say that. Like she grabbed her mouth and looked around. She meant to say Spider-Man, but because she said Peter in that kind of way, the director was like, "I like that. I keep that in the movie." So that was a really funny blooper that got kept into the movie, into the final product. So now Peter is now going towards Electro. They both fight. Electro kind of gets the best of him, but then Peter finds out that the spiderwebs don't break because Gwen Stacy's great idea, and he was like, "Thank you, Gwen." Gwen Stacy arrives at the scene. Peter is like, "Why are you here?" She's like, "I want to help." Peter was like, "Okay. When I give you a sign, you turn on the electro voltage." So Peter and Electro fight again. Now Peter is like holding like electric cables or something like that. He puts them together. Um, he does the sign that Gwen should turn on the voltage, should turn on the electricity. They turn it on. Peter gets hit by electric beam or whatever it's called. But then when Electro hits an electric beam on the cables that are right now filled with electricity, Peter lets go. Electro definitely likes electricity, but he got so much out of voltage they got overloaded and basically exploded. Like, I think that way to beat Electro is kind of ironic, but also a great way. So I really like that. So that's how they beat Electro. Now, they both think everything's fine to beat Electro, everything's good again. But Harry arrives, and Harry's like Spider Man, and he sees like Gwen, and he thought out that, or he like puts two and two together and knows that Spider Man's Peter Parker. And he was like, "You don't give people dreams and hopes. You take away the hopes." And then he said like, "You took away my hope, so I'm gonna take away yours." Then he grabs Gwen. They go into like a tower of a clock tower. They both fight in there. It looks really cool, but also Gwen Stacy was up with them, but fall down or fell down. But Peter got her again with the spiderweb, like, and he's holding her with the spiderweb. But he's also at the same time fighting with Goblin. like with Harry Oscorp, and Peter cannot like do both. He cannot like fight with Harry and holding her like she's falling. Then he grabs against the spider web, but then he's like kicking um, Harry away, so Harry gets knocked out. But because he kicked him, he turned on the clock again, and while turning the clock again on, something made the spider web break, like the clocks, the turning. So Gwen fell again down. She's now falling down. Spider Man is now going after her. He he still gets her with the spider web, but it's too close to the ground. Gwen hits the ground, or either she hits the ground or the spiderweb got her in the last moment, but the impact of like the spiderweb pulling her broke her and killed her instantly. But I think she hit the ground. I'm gonna say she hit the ground. We don't know yet that she's dead. Spider-Man even don't knows yet that she's dead. But he goes like down and he like grabs her, he like hugs her and it's like, Gwen, everything's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be okay. But then like a small little bit of blood comes out of her mouth, and Spider-Man realizes, and we, the audience, realize Gwen's dead. Spider-Man gets really sad, of course, and now we are at Gwen Stacy's funeral. Peter Parker is there. He attended the funeral. He didn't attend. By the way, there was a funeral in this movie for Gwen Stacy's father, but he didn't attend that because. Oh no, there was in this last movie. Oh, completely forgot that. Forget it. So he attended Gwen Stacy's funeral. We see like months passed, and he attends her grave again. Like comes back to her grave. A year passes. We hear in the news that for a whole year, Spider-Man didn't show up. He basically took a break. We see that Peter still feels like really sad and depressed and doesn't feel like being Spider-Man anymore. But then we see in the news that Rhino is back. But Rhino is this time coming back as Rhino with the suit and stuff like that. He has like a shootout with the police. I don't know why, but there were bystanders, and one of the bystanders was a kid that was in a full Spider-Man costume. I don't know why there were bystanders right next to a shootout. Like, why you wanna be there when there's like a guy in a rhinoceros costume? Not costume, like a rhinoceros machine thing, and he's like, having a shootout. Like, why are you standing right next to that? That doesn't make any sense. And why are you there with your child? That's even more stupid. So the child goes away from the crowd, right in front of Rhino. He's like, "Don't worry, Spider-Man's here," and he puts on the Spider-Man mask. Rhino's like stepping forward. Rhino's like, "Oh look, your Spider-Man's back." Then he's like stepping forward to him, but then he stops, and we see why he stops. Spider-Man did come back. Now Spider-Man is there, and he tells the kid, "Great costume," or like he was like, "Hey, Spider-Man." The camera turns towards Spider-Man. The kid sees Spider-Man. He's like to the kid, "Hey, great costume." And he's like talking to him, and he's like, "I'm gonna take care of the rhinoceros. You go take care of your mom, okay?" Then the kid goes back to his mother, and we see Rhino stepping forward to Spider-Man, and they both kind of fight. But right when the fight starts, it abruptly ends, and we get the ending scene. Before I talk about the ending, before I talk about the after credit scene, I want to talk about this. Why do we have Rhino at the end of the movie, and why do we only see how the fight starts? Did you want to get in the Amazing Spider-Man 3, the very beginning of the Amazing Spider-Man 3, the fight of Rhino versus Spider-Man? Maybe it would make sense to end the movie like this, but we didn't get Amazing Spider-Man 3. And now in the end, we got like a 1 minute fight. Or not even 1 minute. It just started and abruptly ends. That's why I say there are too many villains in this movie. Like, if you only had Electro and what's the other guys? Harry, the Goblin, that would be fine. Maybe you could say we needed Rhino in the end to have that fight, and like even though it abruptly ended and it just started basically, we needed that scene to bring Spider-Man back. But why don't you bring Spider-Man back in the Amazing Spider-Man 3 right in the beginning and make in the beginning of the Amazing Spider-Man 3 start the fight with Rhino and Spider-Man and not at the very end, right before the end credits, right before the movie abruptly starts. Why then you start the Rhino fight with Spider-Man and abruptly end it? Like, you don't even show the full fight. Okay, you can say he brought him back like that, but still, that sucks. Okay, now we go to the end credits or the after credits scene. We see Harry. He's right now in, I think, the mental institution that what's his name? The lizard guy was in. I forgot his name. Again, the other guy that was in the first movie there. He's now in the cell with Harry, but he did come in this time very normal. Harry was like, how many people do we have? I think the guy said like 3 or 5, something like that. Harry was like, great. So I think if the Amazing Spider-Man 3 would have happened, I think we would have gotten maybe Rhino, maybe Harry, maybe the lizard guy, maybe Vulture, uh, Octo something, whatever his name is. Like basically like in, how was it? Was it Spider-Man 1 on the PS4? I think it was that, or Spider-Man 2 on PS4. Like when you fight against multiple villains. I think that's how the Amazing Spider-Man 3 would have happened. Maybe it would have been nice. I think in the game was nice. It was nice. Um, if that happened in the first game, the Spider-Man game on PS4, the first one. I cannot remember if it was the first one or the second one. But also I remember I played the first one. And I gotta say, if you like Spider Man, you gotta play Spider Man on PS4. It's really a great game. I heard the second part, Spider Man 2, on PS4 or PS5 or whatever it was kind of bad, kind of disappointing. But in my opinion, I played the Spider Man on PS4. I also played Miles Morales on PS4. Or Spider Man Miles Morales on PS4. In my opinion, both were great games, but Spider-Man 1 or the Spider-Man on PS4 is a really great game, and if you like